Welcome back to Contemporary Black Voices. And I'm Dr. Sharon Michael Chadwell. Today's show deals with the impact of these tariffs on Black communities and families. So in the last segment, we were talking about the job losses, and I want to segue over to these higher prices. Now, I went to the store the other day just to buy just some dog food. And I was kind of shocked because I was looking around the vegetable section, mostly the vegetable and meat section, and it reminded me of a Mexican grocery store where you saw these huge yellow signs of discount, 20% down, things like this. And I saw this at my HEB. And so I kind of was asking one of the people who worked, I said, what's going on? He says, it's kind of strange, isn't it? I said, yeah. I said, I'm used to seeing the signs, but not to this extent. I went to the red meat section. What they're trying to do is stage it now to where you may have steaks here, and there's a huge red gap. And then you may have hamburger meat, then a huge red gap. I'm starting to see that. But what I did notice was that on the January 20th, I did take a picture of the price of eggs, January 20th, 2025.
How much were they then?
$4.98 for a dozen.
Okay.
Yesterday, it was $6.48 a dozen. Now that's here in San Antonio, Texas, and I know that there are other areas in the United States where it's maybe lower than that or higher than that. Had me thinking about putting a chicken in the backyard or a hen. In other words, put a bird back there and start laying some eggs for me. So how are these prices causing you to rethink your budgeting?
Well, I mean,
if you are,
yeah, a lot of us already with Black folks. I mean, just in general, it's not like we have just an enormous amount of money. You could check McKinsey and the average savings and average Black net worth of the average Black family. It's definitely being felt, and there are definitely going to be hard choices, and not just really in our community, but in the broader communities where you have, especially a lot of older folks who are already struggling, having to make a decision. Do I want to eat or do I want my medicine? You know what I mean? And so now you have a double whammy. You know what I mean? He's raised the price of drugs, canceled the prescription drug deals that Biden had put in place. Why? I don't know. But he canceled those. So now the price of drugs has gone back up. Same time, price of groceries are going back up. You know what I mean? So that decision really becomes even more dire.
Going up is one thing, but when it goes up to the point that you can't afford it and nobody can buy anything, I think it gets to another whole dynamic. So I really look at families who have children in them, okay? And you want to really try to feed those children. For me, I'm in a home by myself, so you know, I don't need Ozempic and Mounjaro or none of that. I'm losing weight automatically. Okay.
you're not eating.
I ain't eating, you know, I ain't going to the store. I'm even now looking at, you know, things that we may have thought was ghetto before, where you buy the half 6-pack of eggs. You know what? I don't need the whole dozen, you know, so I can buy a little bit of them at a time or whatever. And it lasts me and it works for me. So it's not so much what it's doing to me, it is affecting me, but it's not so much that. I feel for those people, like Caleb said, who are elderly, who don't have the health care. Health care has always been a problem in this country. And then you're also putting that on top of, now you can't buy food. Now you're effectively killing folks in a two-pronged system because they can't afford medicine, you can't afford food, and I'm sitting there and there's nothing I can do.
Must said, American people are gonna have to suffer. Richest man in the world is telling you, richest man in the world said American people are gonna have to suffer, right?
And he's not even American.
But how is Jeff Bezos gonna feel about that? If I can't go to Amazon and have stuff sent to my home, okay, because I'm trying to survive, how does he feel about Elon Musk saying we've got to suffer, and Bezos saying you can't buy my product anymore? That's a problem.
or even the big time billionaires from ExxonMobil and Texaco and all those.
Right.
You can't
ain't
buy
driving,
gas.
you
You
ain't
can't
driving
buy
the car no more.
What
Yeah.
we're seeing
Yeah.
here is manufactured incompetence to where they're not, or even manufactured stupidity to where they're not even thinking about the impact. I mean, you would think that Musk that would reconsider the impact of what he's doing because he was losing like 120 trillion, maybe billion or trillion dollars, billion dollars in sales around the world. And, you know, maybe he would think about, maybe I need to pull back. He can't even keep a rocket up in the air.
Right. Yeah, that
And
blew
he's
up
trying to, and he's trying to take over the FAA.
You know, when you have that kind of money saved up, doesn't care. I mean, and a lot of times people are so wound up ideologically. You know what I mean?
They don't think.
They don't care. They don't care about the money.
Well, when you talk about ideology,
Yeah.
you know, I think that people have looked at Trump. They see him on TV. They see his name on all these buildings. And you assume that he is great at doing business. But they think that that's going to translate into great running America.
No.
And it's definitely two different things.
I think that in this country, you talk about white folks, I mean, you talk about suffering and people willing to suffer. White folks are willing to suffer if they think black folks are suffering. I'm willing to you cut my medicine off as long as you cut those black people's medicine off. You know what I'm saying? I'm willing to, as long as you hurting who I don't like, I'm willing to hurt too. You know what I mean? That's just this country. That's the history of this country. That's the nature of this country.
So what I started doing even more and more and more, I've started joining homesteading groups.
What's that mean?
Basically, people who are going to be living off the grid, or if they can't really live off the grid, you're still getting ideas on how to safeguard your house. You know, someone was laughing. People are going to start looking over your fence to see if you have a garden back there, things like that. So what can you do to make your house safer? What can you do if you need water? You know, so they've got these what they call bug out books that the Marines and people like that carry with them on how to get water from plants to where they're running it down into those, you probably have seen those huge blue units. I haven't got mine set up yet because I've got something else going on in my backyard. But I do have the units. I just need to set those up. Now, you can't come over and get any of my water, okay?
Why?
You know, because, you know, it's going to take a moment for me to see that. But the point I'm trying to say is...
No, what you're saying is I got to steal it.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to put a reversal on that gate. No.
We'll come back and talk about stealing water in the next segment.
You know, but I mean, you know, I hinted at prepping. I talked to my cousin in Georgia, and this is going to segue over into the next segment, so I'm going to stop. But keep in mind about high prices of food and what you can do. And we're going to come back.